Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me for another office hours training. I'm Crystal L. Gunn, your financial strategist. Part of that job as a strategist is to bring you information that you may not have thought of, to expand your thinking, or to bring you just information that you just did not know, right? Also, to help you heal and redefine your personal financial relationship, be it on the business side or the personal side, so that it works in your favor and so that you can soar. Also, I help you to have some aha moments, some self-discovery moments, and helping you see the things that no longer serve you so that you can release them again and soar. And so all of that helps with the breakthroughs. That's where you start to shift. That's where the magic happens, be it in your personal finances or your overall business. It's still October. That means it's still Financial Planning Awareness Month. So I continue going through some things that are essential in building your financial plan. And today, it's all about creating a financial plan for the self-employed. And as a self-employed individual, you need a tailored plan to manage fluctuating income, taxes, future savings. And unlike traditional employees, you must take charge of your own financial security. There's no one, you're not getting a paycheck from this employer on whether they hit their numbers or not. So it's really, really crucial for entrepreneurs to have a financial plan. So where entrepreneurship offers flexibility and freedom, it also comes with unique financial challenges. When we say entrepreneurship is not for the faint at heart, but creating a personalized financial plan is really and truly essential for managing cash flow, savings for taxes, securing your future. And so here are a couple of tips for entrepreneurs who don't already have a plan, or if you think you have a plan, but you're not really sure. One is you want to track and organize your income. So start by consistently tracking all sources of income to understand your cash flow patterns. Be sure you're using some kind of accounting software. It makes sense to have an accountant or CPA set up your chart of accounts accordingly from the beginning. It's easier to do it from the beginning, right? But it's really it's really key to understand your cash flow patterns. I had a strategy session with someone who they had done their first Airbnb, and great concept. They had rented a loft space, right? So they didn't own the facility, but they had just rented this space and they were using it as an Airbnb. Well, they had gone out and they wanted to do another one, right? But they had not been in business for a year yet. It had not been a year that they'd had the first space. And so they didn't really understand the cash flow, meaning they didn't understand the trends, right? So they opened up like at the beginning of the year, that first quarter, and then came spring and summer. And, they were doing really good on having the dates booked. And then came fall. And then they were trying to open the second one at the end of the year, right? And, they had all the paperwork and all of that was done, but business slowed down on that first space. And one of the things that I told him, I said, you don't know the ups and downs of the industry. You don't know when you're going to be in high demand and when you're going to be in low demand, and you needed to wait at least 1 year. Now you may you may do this more in year 2. You may do 2 new locations, but that first year. So understanding the cash flow patterns. He didn't understand the patterns. And so he winds up losing money on that second one and having to back out of that deal and all of that stuff. But it becomes a learning lesson. So knowing and understanding those patterns for your specific business, right, is crucial. And then having that ability to track those expenses electronically through technology. He was tracking expenses by hand, and that's really, really difficult to do. But having that and investing and paying the money to have that accountant or that CPA set up your chart of accounts for your business from the beginning is crucial. Number two, set aside money for taxes. Set aside money for taxes. Open a separate account for tax savings and ensure you set aside enough money for quarterly tax payments. It just makes sense. So have that conversation again. If they're setting up your chart of accounts, you want to have that conversation with that accountant or CPA in the beginning to ensure you're setting enough aside based on your sales. Unless you have a tax business or a CPA or accountant business, you may not know this information. So you definitely want to make sure that you are consulting with a professional, setting that account up, leaving that money over there, not using it for operations, so that it's when it's time to pay taxes, that money is there. It's going to save you a whole lot of headache, right? Number three is create an emergency fund. So just like you do on a personal side, you need an emergency fund on your business side as well. 3 to 6 months of living expenses, personal, and 3 to 6 months of business expenses to cover unexpected shortfalls. Think about what happened in 2020 when everything was shut down. So many small businesses went out of business because they had no revenue coming in and no emergency fund set up. And so there's this balance that you have to do, especially if you're new in your business. There's this balance of being able to run the business, being able to pay yourself, but then also setting aside for certain things that you know you're gonna need. It's a balance. So in that beginning, you really have to watch your numbers. You really have to pay attention to every dime that's coming in and being extremely intentional. And the cool thing about that, being extremely intentional and paying attention to every dime that comes in from the beginning, you set a precedent and a foundation that works really well. And so the fourth thing is plan for your retirements, right? I always say start with the end in mind. So what does retirement look like for you? Are you doing this business? What's your exit strategy? In other words, are you doing this business to sell it? Are you doing this business to pass it down to the next generation? Are you doing this business to sell it to the next generation? Or are you going to allow the employees to then take over this? To take over the business and now they own it when you're ready to be done? Or are you just going to close the doors when you just don't want to do it anymore? What is your exit strategy? And then when you know that, you also know, well, how long do I want to do this thing? Well, you need a retirement plan as well. And so, okay, is this going to remain a family business? Am I going to get a cut out of, every single month because I own the business, although I retired? You have to start thinking ahead, even though it's not time for that. But what does your retirement look like so that you can set up your own IRA, a solo 401k, purchase precious metals, a life insurance policy that builds cash value? What's the thing that you're doing to plan for your retirement? Again, from the beginning, starting from the beginning. Remember, I said it's this balance of this money and this being intentional with your funds and where do they need to go from the beginning, but always setting things up from the beginning saves you a whole lot of heartache and time later. And so creating a solid financial plan, you can manage your business income expenses effectively while setting yourself up for long-term financial success. And that's really and truly what you want, right? So do me a favor. Think about your business. Do you have any of these foundational things set in place? And this is just like the tip of the iceberg. This is tip, right, of the iceberg. Do you have these things in place? Have you even thought about them, right? If you do, I applaud you. Bravo, right? If you don't, why not? And when will you get it done? And I know some of the why not is because I never thought about it. I didn't know, right? I'm a cabinet maker. I want to come in here and make cabinets. There's all of this other ancillary stuff that you also need to do that's really, really important to the business. But going and getting the outside help is what's going to help you be successful, right? And so when we talk about, generational wealth, or that 2053 prediction of Blacks having zero wealth, right? Having your financial house in order on the personal side and the business side helps to ensure that that prediction doesn't become a reality. So what's your plan, right? What is your plan? And how does not having one, how is that going to negatively impact you and your family? And so we talk about breaking generational curses. Well, if the curse is going to stop with you, then the new system of success has to start with you. But we also talk about passing down generational wealth. Well, how are you going to do that? And is it going to be solid? If you're doing it through a business, are you building it and it's going to be solid so that you actually have something to pass down, right? So all of these new systems of success have to start with you if you're trying to make sure that these next generations are secure. And I always talk about 10 generations deep. That's where you want to start to think. But what is my favorite thing for today? It is really and truly having a business financial plan. If you are an entrepreneur, they talk about a business plan, right? What's the business plan? They talk about a marketing plan, but what's that business financial plan? Because that overall business plan is going to talk about a whole bunch of things, but what is this specific business financial plan? And you need to make sure that you have that in place. So, and everything is always about steps. Don't try to, But what's the saying? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? How do you get to the top of the stairs? Just one step at a time. It's the same thing for business. You want to make sure that you're systematically doing the things that you need to do in order to ensure your success. So what are you going to do next? You're going to review the list of the 4 things that I just talked about, right? Review them, go through them, start setting them up if you don't have them in place. And if you do, this is your reminder, review them and update accordingly. Some things you may have set in place a couple years ago, right? Let's review it. Some things you may have set in place and you did it yourself. You didn't have professional help to do it. Might be a great time to have that professional look at that. And so again, if you have it, review them and update accordingly. And you want to make sure that you seek professional help. If you're a cabinet maker, you're a cabinet maker. You might not know all the things that you need to know about software. You might accounting software. You might not know all the things that you need to know for setting up the chart of accounts for your business. You need help doing that. Don't shortcut that because you don't want to pay somebody to do it, and then it winds up biting you in the butt. And then you have to come back and you have to pay somebody to fix it. And it's going to cost twice as much to pay somebody to fix it as it would have for you to have paid somebody to set it up, right? So make sure that you get that done. If this information has been helpful, subscribe to the channel. Share the channel as well. Don't be a gatekeeper to this information. Share it. You never know what somebody has been looking for, praying for, asking for, or are in need of. So share the information. It's really simple to do. And also tons of links down in the description. Look at what you need, find what you need, and move forward in that. Also go back and look at any past episodes that you've missed. See what topic taps on you, see what topic you need to review, watch that episode, and get to work on doing those next steps, right? And remember to always, always, always give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace for what you don't know, what happened in the past, what you messed up on, and all of that. Give yourself some grace. Keep striving for your next level. Never, ever, ever give up on you. Never give up on you. And invest in you. Always. I promise you it's the best investment that you will make, and you will never, ever, ever regret it. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. Be sure to join me for the private online Q&A immediately following. The link is in the description. And if you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and turn notifications on so you never miss this opportunity.